So, coming from CNBC, Microsoft unveils new AI models to lessen reliance on OpenAI and lower cost for developers. That's right, Nadala is in the house. He's about to put the smack down on these whippersnappers, thinking that they are going to create the next, multi-trillion-dollar technology company. Sam Altman, you're about to meet the back of Nadala's hand. So I think this is an interesting story, just to kind of show how up in the air the whole AI world is, and try to continually hammer on the point that these trillion-dollar IPOs are beyond stupid. They just don't make any sense. That's one of the interesting things with Microsoft. So Microsoft had partnered with OpenAI. So Microsoft and OpenAI had a very strong contractual relationship. And one of the interesting things is a couple of months ago, they actually broke that relationship, right? So Microsoft was supposed to use OpenAI's AI services, and OpenAI was supposed to use Microsoft's Azure infrastructure, and that is how they were all going to take over the world. And then everybody started having questions. Basically, Sam Altman started looking at Nadala, saying, I'm not really sure if I trust this guy. And Nadala started looking at Sam Altman and said, well, I've been reading the newspaper what this bastard did to his sister, so maybe I shouldn't. If he's willing to do that to his sister, do I really want to be his business partner? Just put it out there. You can Google it yourself. Anyways, so a couple of months ago, it seems like that relationship is broken down, where OpenAI can use Azure infrastructure and Microsoft can use OpenAI, but they're now allowed to go out and flirt with other companies, right? So OpenAI, I think, started putting stuff onto Amazon's infrastructure, and with Microsoft is now playing around with their own models at this point in time. One of the interesting things with this too is Microsoft was allowing their developers to use Claude Code. So for like 6 months, Microsoft was actually pushing developers to use Claude Code. They saw how much that cost, and I did a video last week talking about them literally taking away Claude Code. Now everybody in Microsoft is supposed to use Microsoft's AI models instead of Claude Code. And so what's going to be really interesting going into the future with these AI models, just all these AI services, is the whole question of like who is the winner of all of this mess going to be. The idea of a single company being an AI utility, does that even make sense? And I would argue it's becoming ever more obvious that was kind of a dumb concept from the get-go. Now, if we take a look at this, we have Microsoft. Microsoft has been a major player in the AI boom, providing key cloud infrastructure and services and taking multi-billion-dollar equity stakes in OpenAI and Anthropic. Now the company is making a concerted effort to compete with proprietary models. At its Build a Developer conference in San Francisco on Tuesday, Microsoft announced MAI Code 1 Flash, its inaugural model that takes written descriptions from people and spits out source code for applications and websites. So it looks like they are focused on the coding world, which probably makes sense for Microsoft. For Microsoft, there are economic benefits to providing its own models that can be passed on to developers as costs jump for using the leading models. Microsoft can run its models on its own Azure cloud infrastructure and avoid paying third parties such as OpenAI. The other interesting thing I think with the models is you got to think about Microsoft. So like Microsoft sells an overall ecosystem, right? You will hear me talk about Active Directory. Whoo! I am an Active Directory fanboy, and I cannot lie. But the big thing with Microsoft, right, is they have this entire ecosystem, right? So you have Active Directory, you have Office 365, which is the cloud services. You have MS SQL, and they have a lot of database services. You go to Azure, and so there's something called Azure Functions, basically cloud functions. They've got just hundreds and hundreds of those functions, and all of those, seamlessly, if you have the right hammer, all come together in order to build whatever it is you're going to be building. So again, one of the things to be thinking about if you're in the enterprise world, if you're in the government world, if you're in the big like Fortune 500 enterprise world, a lot of people go with Microsoft simply because you get that Microsoft stack, right? You get the .NET framework, you can use C# in order to code for things, you get all of these different services, and it's really easy to bring all of this together. So one of the curious things with OpenAI and Microsoft Microsoft, really tying themselves to these OpenAI models, is that those models were outside of the company, right? Microsoft really doesn't have control over what OpenAI does with the models, what they release, what they don't release, how they change things, and the whole 9 yards. So it makes a lot of sense for Microsoft to try to bring it in-house. The other thing to think about with Microsoft is when we talk about like monopolistic tendencies, people for some reason forget like what Microsoft was a few decades ago. Like when I got my MCSE, I had to learn this thing called WINS. Windows Internet Naming System, right? So there was DNS, right? The internet was taking off. TCP/IP v4 was the cool kid in town. And so to make that work, you have DNS. Well, DNS is an open source product. Anybody can deploy it. There's just a crap ton of different DNS servers out there. You can set up on a Linux box or whatever else, right? Microsoft saw that and said, hey, what about that? But we owned it. And you had to pay a license to us in order to use it. And so they came out with WINS, which is Windows Internet Naming System. I think I had to learn it. I had to learn it for my MCSE. I had to take the test. And then it died. Thankfully, it died because, sometimes the technology world makes half an ounce of sense. So one of the things to think about, like when you're looking at Microsoft, is basically to realize how at their core, they're a very monopolistic company. They want to own everything they possibly can. And so it's been weird where they've had this relationship with OpenAI where this very important new technology, service, the whole 9 yards, has been owned by this other company. And so it makes a lot of sense that they're trying to bring all of this in-house, and it's going to make a lot of sense that a lot of customers will just simply migrate over to them, because then you've just got your one dashboard. You got your one dashboard, you've got your one stack, you know how everything integrates together, and OpenAI might be better for certain things, but you know how it works in the real world? It's fine. It's good enough. It's good enough. So let's see here. In addition to MAI Code 1 Flash, Microsoft is introducing MA Thinking 1, a reasoning model, and is playing up the efficiency for both offerings. So this is going to become a bigger and bigger thing. Again, these token prices are bat crap crazy at this point in time, so it makes sense that Microsoft would come out with something that is more efficient. The reasoning model is medium size and, quote, built for high efficiency and performance, but importantly, a low token cost. Kyle Daigle, Microsoft's developer, marketing chief, and GitHub operating chief, wrote in a blog post, right? So that's one of the big problems. I talked about this one of the other videos, right? Uber just put a cap on token usage or whatever else for their developers, right? $1,500 a month, because they went through a year's budget in tokens in 4 months. Right, that's literally how many tokens they've been burning, and they realize that's unsustainable. And so what's interesting here is Microsoft is coming out and directly arguing against a token maxing mentality, saying, look, if you come and use our products, we are going to be focused on efficiency, and we're going to be focused on the concepts of budget and all that kind of thing. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Microsoft is attempting to play at more layers of the AI stack as OpenAI and Anthropic continue to record historic growth and push toward the public market. MAI Thinking 1 is available in private preview through the Microsoft Foundry. Customers will be able to increase the accuracy of the reasoning model by incorporating their own data. Quote, what you just saw is a pretty significant shift, Microsoft CEO Nadella said on stage. We believe the time has come for every company to just move from consuming a frontier model to fully participating at the frontier in the frontier ecosystem. After refining its model for the needs of consulting firm McKinsey, Microsoft was able to outperform OpenAI's GPT-5.5 with 10 times better cost efficiency. The coding model is, quote, inference ultra efficient, Daigle wrote, and is available in the GitHub Copilot AI coding service and the Visual Studio Code editor. And so that's the other interesting thing to think about with this too, is they're hyper focused on efficiency. So you get more token for your buck. But then also, as I talk about with designing these systems, it appears they're trying to come up with some kind of AI system where you don't necessarily have to train the model on your data, right? I've talked about that before with giving your AI system more information for context. That's with things like RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where you have a database system, you do the query, Information is pulled out of that database. All of that goes into the context window. One of the interesting things with Microsoft is they might find a different way of designing the entire AI system. So remember, like that's the thing, is like, when I'm building systems, when you're building infrastructure, right, you just care about the connection points. You care about how does the request have to be formatted, and you care about how the response coming back is going to be formatted. You don't really care what's on the other side. This is what we call service-oriented architecture, again with API calls. All you care about is that API connection and how to parse the response. You're not hyper-focused on what goes on, on the other side, right? So one of the interesting things to think about is with ChatGPT, with OpenAI, they seem to be really focused on the model, right? We talk about these models and multimodal model, reasoning models, LLMs, the whole 9 yards, and the model is the key. You have to have a better model. I've argued against this for a while. I have a real question about, are better models actually improving much of anything? Or do you need subsystems? Right? Do you need external systems to do certain tasks? So basically, I put in a question, what is 2 + 2, right? The model doesn't answer that. It formats that into an equation or whatever for the math routine. And then the math routine does the math and provides the results back. Right? When you interact with that, all of that is artificial intelligence, but one component is LLM, the other component is pretty basic coding, really, right? And that's one of the things I've argued about for a long time. So one of the interesting things with Microsoft, right? Since they own so much infrastructure as a service, since they own the entire tech stack. What becomes really interesting is, can they start doing more interesting things with artificial intelligence to bring back better results at a better price point? One of the things I've been talking about for a little while now is my whole disappointment with what's happening with AI. Like AI 10 years ago, this is gonna sound weird, but AI 10 years ago, I think it was pretty interesting. I think it was pretty cool, right? There are vision systems and there are voice systems. There are all these different ways of doing AI. AI used to be this cornucopia of different ideas and different concepts and different technologies. And this weird thing happened. ChatGPT comes out a couple years ago, and all of a sudden, AI turns into LLMs. That's it. Everybody thinks like AI is a model. Like maybe it's a reasoning model or whatever, but it's just a model. Like AI went from this cornucopia of different concepts and technology all the way down to models. So what becomes interesting is, if you have Microsoft, who has access to a tremendous amount of different technologies, what if they start expanding out the concept of AI again to again bring in these other services where the cost for resources is just so much less, right? That's one of the things like with OpenAI. The tech bros have really been pushing this idea that RAG is dead. So retrieval augmented generation. This is where you have a database system with all of your proprietary information. And then when somebody does a query, it's called a vector database. And basically, when you do the query, your database system pulls out information from the database that might be relevant to your query. Your query, along with all of that information that was pulled out of the database, is put in the context window. And then that's all processed by the model, and you get a result back. Well, the tech bros have been pushing this idea that RAG is dead. Right? And I was trying to figure out why would RAG be dead? It's a good concept, right? So why would it be dead? And I thought there's something called CAG. It's like a knowledge graph system. Anyways, maybe it was knowledge graph. I don't know, I was trying to figure it out. And what it came to, the idea is with these tech bros is, well, since context windows can now be 1 million tokens, right? 1 million tokens is the Lord of the Rings trilogy plus a couple of books. So since it's 1 million tokens, you can just dump all of your possible context into the context window along with your query, and then you can have your model process that, and that will give you the results. That's why RAG is dead. And I've lost my mind, because what you got to understand with these models is just they just burn everything. They burn cache, they burn your soul. Like in order to do any processing with a model, it is at this point in time, it is literally the most hardware intensive task that you will do. And so the idea that you would have a database system that requires almost no hardware resources, right? You can have a vector database system running on a Raspberry Pi 4. Like literally, that's how resource efficient a vector database system is. The only reason you go above this is because you have to scale for the amount of users. But anyways, you can have vector database run on Raspberry Pi 4. So the idea is, well, instead of having a database system that can run on Raspberry Pi 4, just run everything through these models that just burn electricity. I was like, that's dumb. Only a tech bro would think they're smart for saying that dumb, right? So what's interesting now, though, is we're moving forward. We're seeing the costs. We're seeing how expensive this is getting, right? We're seeing how exorbitant it is. And so now people are looking at how can they produce these AI results more efficiently. So Microsoft can come in and they have their database systems and they have their caching systems and they have their models and they have numerous different models and they have all this architecture. And what becomes really interesting is what if they build an AI architecture that is then tremendously more efficient than OpenAI's architecture. And so what are you going to do at the end of the day? Again, if you want relatively simple AI tasks and you're already using Microsoft for your stack, why wouldn't you just connect AI into your systems and go from there? Why would you bother with OpenAI? So anyways, some things to think about, some things to ponder. OpenAI is Have I told you yet that OpenAI might be screwed? Might be. OpenAI is the perfect example of a first mover that is getting kneecapped by everybody. OpenAI is getting kneecapped by their direct competitors. OpenAI is getting kneecapped by the people they thought were their partners. OpenAI is getting kneecapped, by their sisters. No, I won't let that go. I will not let that go. You do your own Google search. But anyways, so what do you think about this? What do you think about Microsoft literally coming out with their own models? Do you think that makes more sense for implementing AI into your infrastructure? If you're sitting there and you realize whatever AI systems you implement now are going to become legacy, right? The moment you flip those things on, they're legacy now. Whose systems do you trust more for AI services, thinking about that in a legacy environment? Again, OpenAI or Microsoft, no matter how bad Microsoft might be, their bread and butter is the corporate world. Who do you feel safer with? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these episodes, do remember they are on Spotify and an Apple podcast. Link is in the doobly-doo. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.